Good morning, BraveHearts. Welcome to DocStar TV. I'm Dr. Daryl Wolf, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Charles. Charles, how are you?
I'm good today.
You're good. Okay, so Charles, we're going to be talking mainly about your hip, right?
Yes.
Charles, you were booked for hip surgery, correct?
Correct, June 1st.
You're booked for June 1st. What did you just do?
Canceled.
Okay, now, understand something. Did I tell you to cancel it, or did you to cancel it because Okay, so you canceled on your own?
Yes.
All right, it's very important that we make our own decisions. No doctor makes our decisions. No doctor makes our decisions. Dr. Daryl Wolf, Dr. Dinkeldorf, Dr. whoever does not make your decisions. And you go out and you stay logical by staying connected to your breath and breathing and smiling and never buying into anyone's BS that causes you to feel fear. That's the whole deal. You know how many people, Charles, actually get a death sentence from a doctor because the doctor doesn't know the potential of the human spirit? Do you understand?
I do.
Before we get into this, Charles, and I want to thank you for coming on with the video part of it because that makes it more real. And people see your face and they know I'm not coaching you and I'm not playing some kind of game here. Okay? Now, Charles, before we go any further, we're going to talk about this. I have talked to Charles somewhat, but I don't know a lot of his story. And we're going to look at Charles' story as an itemized list. I don't want Charles to attach emotion to it. I don't want him to tell it like he's the greatest story in the teller in the world, because he's told it 5,000 times and he's got it down pat. Emotion, energy, and motion. We're all actors. Now, reality is you can believe it or not, Charles is a hero to come on here, but he has a victim mentality. Does he have a victim mentality because he's stupid? Does he have a victim mentality because of anything except nothing except what? He was programmed. He was programmed to be in this wheelchair. Everybody's being programmed. Charles, when you were younger, how many people did you see with a cane?
I didn't see that many people.
Okay. Okay, all right. So when you were younger, Charles, how many people did you see with a walker?
I didn't see that many people back when I was a little kid.
That's right. How many people did you see in a wheelchair? And if they were in a wheelchair, guess what? They were in an accident. Okay?
Back from war.
They were back from the war, or they were in an accident. And understand something. Do you know what happens when you go to war with yourself, Charles? You end up in a wheelchair. And you go to war with yourself. Now, Charles, you may not believe this, but you always had a choice. You always had options. But you didn't pick the higher vibrational one because, Charles, whether you want, I don't want to go into this today, but I'll bring you back on for an emotional consult. But when you were a little boy, okay, Charles got really guilty and he felt unworthy. And understand something, Charles is still punishing himself today.
But I stopped.
When? When did you stop, Charles?
I stopped, and the audience needs to hear this.
Okay.
I put TikTok, hip replacement. You came up in a feed, and you had a trucker on that had bad hip. And you boiled it down to the fact that his pelvis, he had been pooping in his pelvis, he suffered from no love, and the tension of putting his right foot on the throttle focused on that area of his body and degenerated.
Right.
And I was a truck driver. I have not taken care of myself.
Right.
I had the proper gut bacteria. And
right.
All of what you said moved me so much that I went to bed that night so hopeful and woke up that next morning a different person. And that's how we connected.
Yeah. And understand, everybody, you know what the medical system wants to say? Don't you dare give false hope to someone. I don't give false hope to anyone. First of all, understand something right now. We've all been dumbed down to believe that we're a piece of meat, a low vibrational piece of meat that God has forgotten and that the body won't heal. But I'm going to tell you something. I know a little bit about your case history, Charles. Unless you're going to take massive action and you are going to make this the most important thing in your life, okay? to regain your hip and not go to surgery, but go after the hip. The hip can be the reason. The hip can be the reason for the pain and everything, but your motivation is to get out of that wheelchair, find your passion, find your purpose, and go out there and stand in your power, okay, for the first time since you were a little boy.
Absolutely, absolutely. You need to know, Dr. Wolf, and your viewers need to know this. In May of last year, a doctor, a licensed physician, put me on thyroid medication when I don't need it. And
well, understand something, yeah, but guess what? We are not here to beat up on any doctors, but Charles, he put you on thyroid medication because you're overweight and you're exhausted with your mind. Your mind is a landmine, and guess what? The invisible rules the physical, the psychological rules the biological. Oh, you look so worn out. You look so down, and anybody that's overweight has a thyroid problem. Understand something. They're just doing what they've been programmed to do. I'm only doing what I'm programmed to do. I'm programmed to sell people, everyone, whether it's a pregnant mother or an infant or anybody else, our infinite iodine. It's the only pure iodine in the world, the only pure. And everybody needs iodine every day. So he wanted to help your thyroid, and he was doing the best that he could, but he was giving you a product that was based on chemicals, usually petroleum, and artificial, that always has side effects. Go ahead.
well, heck, well, I had a stroke.
What?
I had a stroke. You're talking to a stroke survivor. I wound up having a stroke.
When?
In November of 2022, which paralyzed my whole left side.
Okay, so when did you get the thyroid medication?
I started the thyroid medication in May of 2022, and he also put an anabolic steroid also in there to help me feel better because he looked at my red blood cells and I was complaining of low energy. But ultimately...
I know, but red blood cells, when they look at your red blood cells and they're all sticking together, okay, that's just because you have a sticky, glicky mind. That's because you have a stinking thinking, and because you have a sticky, glicky diet, and you're not eating enough whole plant-based, whole vibrational foods. Remember something, when we eat, when we drink, when we hang around with people, we're looking at what we can get the highest vibration and the most light into our body. And the reality is, if you don't have any oxygen or enough oxygen in your blood, then your blood cells are going to stick together. So he did what he was taught to do again, but you do know that these things cause more acidity, and then you lose more oxygen, so your blood cells get more sticky. So welcome to a stroke.
Yes. Dr. Wolf, I completely understand what you're saying. You jumped out of the screen from a late night TikTok video because you know what? You weren't selling anything. You were just telling the trucker that he needs to put love in his life and get a better vibration and to go to a simpler whole plant-based diet. I mean, it became so apparent to me that I was spellbound by it.
Well, you know what? Are you going to love yourself enough to get out of the wheelchair? And are you going to love yourself enough to stay out of the wheelchair because you still have bad eating habits, Charles?
I'm on the process.
Well, Charles, let me tell you something. You want to never say that again because the subconscious loves that word. I'm in the process. And people that are in the process, okay, they're putting themselves into a processor. They're chopping themselves up. Nobody's in the process. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. You're either going to walk, you're going to take that wheelchair and you're going to go over to the cupboards and you're going to clean those cupboards out, clean the fridge out, and you're going to clean out all of these drugs out of your home. Because believe it or not, if it's not whole plant-based food, you're taking a drug because you're addicted to it.
I understand.
Okay.
Really do.
All right. Okay. So how much do you weigh?
I weigh right now 205.
Okay, and what's your height?
5'11".
Okay, now let's go back. That you can remember, what was the first domino that fell here?
The first domino that fell here was that I went from having normal blood pressure and a lifelong normal blood pressure. The medications increased my blood pressure through the roof.
Oh, wait. What medications? You just jumped.
The thyroid with the steroid.
Okay, the thyroid with the steroid. But understand something, they are acidic, but they were just the straw that broke the camel's back. We are not going to blame the drug, okay, for your stroke or putting you in the chair, because you had bowel problems way before that. You had blood pressure problems. You had anxiety problems, because guess what? I can say this, and it's not like I'm intelligent, because the majority, which is the herd, are the herd, and they're programmed for anxiety. They're programmed to believe that their bowels, if no matter what comes out, I go to the bathroom. The reality is people don't even know what a good poop is, don't know how much they should have. And of course, everybody has a good poop, but I challenge anybody who thinks they have a good poop to come and poop with me for a few days, and we'll poop together. Because understand, your poop is a computer printout, and you can look at your poop today and know how well you did yesterday. And it is the most important thing that you will ever learn, Charles. Okay?
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Charles, what I'll do is, after the consultation, I'll send you my Perfect Day Guide. It's almost 400 pages, and if you read this, you'll be smarter than, you'll be smarter than all the medical doctors that I know, and you'll be smarter than at least 80 to 90% of the natural health practitioners out there, because even natural health practitioners believe that, you should cleanse every 3 months, 6 months, once a year. But what if you were to create the perfect diet, the perfect emotional belief system for yourself, and create a perfect day on an emotional and physical level, and you just repeated that every day? What would happen, Charles?
Your body would heal itself and cleanse itself.
And guess what? And the reality is, Charles, yes, I'd like to get you on some of our nutraceuticals, because I can prove that I don't carry supplements, I carry nutraceuticals, and everything is vibration, everything is frequency. And I'll tell you the things today that I would do if I was in your shoes. That's all, okay? But let's go back. So when you took the thyroid medication and the other medication, and you had the stroke, okay, what happened? When was that? How long ago?
November of 2022.
November of 2022. Now know this, as soon as you get somebody and they have a stroke, this is a training, okay? As soon as you get somebody and they have a stroke, the first thing that you do with that person is you put them on an advanced water fast. Okay, or you put them on just things that will take no energy to digest, but bring the nutrition in with tons of amino acids, okay, and tons of enzymes. Amino acids and enzymes. That's what we need when somebody has a stroke. The enzymes go in, and we want to use systemic enzymes. Ours are FiberClear. We would go in there, and guess what? We'd take 10 of those. We can open them up and put them into a blender drink, or we could put them into a drink of some sort. But we would take at least 10 of those, and we do that 5 to 10 times a day. Why? Because wherever there was a stroke, there'll be inflammation. Wherever there's inflammation in the body, whether it's the brain or your toe or your liver or any of your joints, you're going to get scar tissue. We don't want any scar tissue to develop. And that's the big problem. After somebody has a stroke, you can actually get them to come back completely from the stroke, but it's a lot easier if we can stop the body from creating so much scar tissue. The more inflammation that you have, which is the more drama you have on an emotional and physical level, the more scar tissue the body makes. When you terrorize yourself, think about the last time, Charles, that you got really pissed off or really stressed out or very fearful. You were stiff as heck just even 2 hours later when you calmed down, or a day later. Because when you go like this, and when you've got the fight, fright, flight on, and you're just go, 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 you don't think about anything. You don't feel any pain. Nothing goes on. Soon as you slow down, that's when you have the heart attack, fart attack. That's when you feel the headache. That's when you feel the stiffness. And that's when the body comes in and creates all the scar tissue. I'll be 67 years old, Charles, and I'll kick your butt all over town, and I'll kick anybody's butt that's 40 years old all over town. And understand this, I am healthy and I'm wealthy on all levels, because guess what? Nobody's going to make me feel bad. I was created by God Almighty, and I'm going to stand in my power, and I love this guy. If I can get you to fall in love with you, Charles, and that you come first and foremost before your wife, before anybody in your life, guess what? you will stop hurting them. You'll stop hurting yourself and you'll stop hurting them. And people don't get this. As soon as they go, oh my God, Dr. Wolf's trying to teach them how to be selfish. Isn't that just great? Okay, he needs to be a sinner or a loser or a failure. He needs to have regrets. He needs to hold on to guilt. That's why you're in the damn wheelchair. You got the stroke, and if you don't understand why, you are very powerful. Your subconscious created the medication, created the medical doctor, created the stroke, okay? And now you're in the wheelchair. So now what are you going to do?
I'm going to be open.
So what was going on in your life before the stroke? 6 months, 12 months prior. Be honest.
What was going on in my life was I was depending on doctors to heal me when the job was up to me. And I put my trust and faith in doctors rather than taking the simple first steps in doing self-love, taking stuff off my shoulders, which creates stress. And the number one anxiety drug in America is overeating. So you put all that together, and there's no river of life going through your veins. You know, the river of life blood can either be the river of life or a garbage dump running through your veins. And as you've said...
Oh yeah, but guess what? You were the garbage dump on an emotional level. So why did you feel so damn shitty about yourself? Why did you?
You know what, Dr. Wolf? I felt shitty about myself because I didn't identify who I was, and I was letting the computer and the TV and everybody else's symptoms affect me. You can't turn on a TV in the United States without there being a commercial every 5 minutes.
Well, there could be a clue. Don't turn on the TV.
Exactly. Whether it be this or that or erectile dysfunction, you name it, they're talking about it. And then they give you the pill with 90 different reasons why you can have side effects that always result in stroke, heart attack, or death.
Okay, so let's pull it back, though, because guess what? I want to say something. 99.9% of all medical doctors, all nurses, they have beautiful hearts. They want to help people.
They do.
Now, let's hold on a second, though. But the problem is, if the strategy is dangerous, it makes them dangerous. So listen, ignorance, okay? Ignorance is killing us all. The reality is this. Doctors try to take your power away. They've been programmed for that. We have to give your power back. So every patient must heal themselves. Once they become a healer, then they become a practitioner, and then they get to heal others. And that's the way this has to work. And if we don't create a pandemic of this sort, then the reality is, I will tell you that 25 to 30% of the population is leaving by 2030. And I know people are going, that's just around the corner. But understand, people are blowing up, buddy. You know, take a look at the walkers, take a look at the wheelchairs, take a look at the canes, take a look at the prescription drugs, take a look at Costco, and there's a whole row of depends. That means that people are crapping their pants on an emotional and physical level. That means that they're pooping in their pelvis and they're rotting out. Women are dropping babies. Women's uteruses are popping out. Prostate cancer has gone up now 100%. It's doubled in the last 5 years, and they say that by 2030 it will go up another 400%. And that's because, guess what, Charles? The biggest problem you had, Charles, was your bowels. The biggest problem that everybody has here, doesn't matter what dis-ease they have, on a physical level, you can't let go. On an emotional level, you can't let go on a physical level. And how many people out there, you can tell me you go 3 times a day. Right now, guess what, Charles? I've got 9 bowel cancer patients. Most of them are going to the bathroom 2 and 3 times a day. But the reality is they still have bowel cancer, which means they had enough infection to create enough inflammation, to create enough mutation, to create cancer. And cancer in the body just means, or any disease in the body means, that you've cut off the oxygen, whether it's in your blood or in your cells. And how do you do that? You choke it off with emotional and physical infection. So the reality is, you're in a wheelchair. Are you going to put a slight smile on? Are you going to connect to your breath and you're going to say, I'm going to get out of this gall dang wheelchair. Every day I'm going to push myself. And guess what? I'm in emotional pain being in this wheelchair. I'm going to be in more emotional pain because the more I sit, the more that I get stiff. Because guess what? Wherever you have stagnation, you have infection, you have inflammation. Charles, you're a damn swamp. Okay, so what does a swamp have? A swamp has mosquitoes. But in your case, you've got worms, bad bacteria, and fungus. So you're going to rot out, Charles. You get yourself out of there. Now, even if you had the hip surgery, Charles, that doesn't mean you're going to walk again, because you need to walk again on an emotional level and be able to hold the line and change that belief system and get rid of it, erase and replace the one that put you in the bloody wheelchair, because you set the whole story up.
That's amazing what you said there. My beautiful significant other tells me all the time, she said, get out of that wheelchair. Even if you can't walk, stand up. Get out of that wheelchair, because the stagnation is creating more stagnation.
Yeah, and the reality is you're missing out on your beautiful significant other. And the reality is she can't take it. Why don't you go have a talk with her after this conversation? Charles, I love you, but guess what? You're sucking the life out of me, okay? Yeah, okay? This is called teamwork makes the dream work, not that I need to be your caretaker, because caretakers never take care of themselves. And ask her if she wants to be your caretaker for the rest of her life, or she wants to be your lover under the cover.
I love that.
All right?
Yeah. Wow. 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 That's how you drew me in initially, because what you say makes sense to my heart. My ears are perked up.
Yeah. Let me tell you something right now. I want to know what happened after the stroke. Why don't we just walk me through this, my friend?
So after the stroke, I am paralyzed on the left side. I'm in ICU. They sent me to rehab. And I had arthritis in my right hip, but all of a sudden that now...
Okay, so what was the attachment and what was going on with you and your wife before the stroke?
I feel as though it was a good time. We actually had a good summer, but prior to that, why I even... Forget about doctors. I went to the doctor because I had...
The doctors, they're not even important in this conversation. I want to know how you were doing with your significant other a year before, because
not good, because of the way I felt.
And what happened to you? Did you give up on your relationship with her? Are you punishing her? Why are you in the wheelchair?
No. When I hurt, I seclude. When I hurt.
I know, but I want to know why you were hurting. If we don't get in there and find out why you were hurting, you're not going to get out of the wheelchair and stay out of the wheelchair.
Because, Dr. Wolf, I put everything in front of me. I put the dogs. I put my family, my mother, my father. I put everything, my brother, everything. I was filling their cup, and my cup was empty. I had nothing left to give.
Good. You know what? I'm glad you were honest, and guess what? That was the exact truth. That's the truth. So now, here's the deal. Now, your body wants it all back. So now you got everybody caretaking for you. So now you flipped it. When the reality is, all you needed to do was just take care of yourself and mind your own business. What is one of my main things I say? Mind your own business. Your own business is to look after the temple you've been granted by God. And if you were to totally love and care for yourself, guess what? You would have a whole different relationship with your wife and your life. Because when you do not demand the rest of the world, and let me tell you something, Charles, you were not, okay, this is nothing against you, this is everyone, this is me, this is everyone. You were not a nice guy. You were just being a nice guy to everyone because you didn't love yourself at all. So you put yourself out, you drained yourself, you strained yourself because you can't live without love, and you had no love for yourself. and you were empty, an empty vessel, okay? And so you cannot run that way, and you blew the circuits.
Thank you. Thank you. You cannot transmit what you don't have.
Yeah. So understand, when you become unconditional love for yourself, you know, everybody goes, you know, I'll have people on here today and they'll be going, you're teaching selfishness. Why don't you go to hell? This is the kind of stuff I get, okay? This is what I get. And understand what they don't get is, guess what? If you're not selfish enough to know how to love and care for yourself, then you are sucking off of everyone in your family, okay, for the love that you're not doing. It's a self-serve job. Love is just an ingredient, Charles. It's what you do with it. And understand, if you are taking love from another, it's contaminated. Because what do lovers do? They hold out their love on each other until they get what they want, and they don't even know it. Look at the bloody games people play. Let me tell you something. There is only 1 out of 10,000 couples that even like each other. But they'll stay with each other because suffering is the way to the Lord. Suffering is how we get things in life. I don't suffer for nothing. Do I suffer for anything, Lori?
No.
Nothing. I will not suffer for you, my friend, but I will have compassion and I will bring it all on. I will risk our friendship if I can wake you up, because I don't want you reliant on me, because I can't be there for you all the time. And the reality is you are a spirit being, which means that you will live forever, and you don't even like yourself. Well, you better. You don't have to live with your wife forever, but you're going to be traveling through the universe as a spirit somehow, some way. I don't know how, but you better rock this thing and get out of that damn wheelchair. Because the only reason why you're there is because you're calcified and you got scar tissue. And the reality is you had issues here before you had issues here. And the reality is you gave up, Charles, and you knew you had to give up because you couldn't keep going at that, draining the battery all the time. So guess what? I can't keep going. So what do I need? I need a blowout, something that's going to knock me down, not kill me, but stop me. The doctor's not responsible. You are the only one responsible. Yeah, but the doctor gave me this medication and then that was the reason. No, it wasn't. It was the straw on the camel's back. It could have been a Dairy Queen sundae. Okay? We love to blame doctors. Yes, they're the third leading cause of death in North America, and they will continue to be the third leading cause of death because guess what? We follow the herd because we're not heard by ourselves, and we hurt ourselves and we hurt others because we don't unconditionally love ourselves. You know, the deal is I don't care how much pain you're in, you get yourself out of that wheelchair. There's nothing wrong with getting yourself in the wheelchair. It's getting yourself out of the wheelchair. And I'll tell you something right now. That means you're going to have to spend time, money, and energy. And I'm not setting you up to take your money. Don't even come to me. Just go to one of my therapists. I don't get any of that money. The reality is people go, oh my God, look at this. He's talking about this. He's talking about that. Well, so then don't buy my products. Go find something that's equal. Go to a practitioner to make sure I don't get any money. The reality is this. I could retire today, but I'm not going to, because the Holy Grail is this one thing that we all need to get. There are no different religions. There's only one. There's only one, and it's called unconditional love for all brothers and sisters. We're all going back to the same place, wherever that is. So you can go read any book or buy into any belief system you want. But the reality is, I don't care what it is. You know, the reality is we make up all this stuff. And as long as it makes you feel good, as long as it's going to keep you healthy and wealthy on all levels, then I say go for it. I don't care what your story is. Because most people don't want to buy into my story. And I get it. Why would you want my story? It's my story. So make up any story you want, because that which created the universe doesn't care what story you make, because the deal is you came down to a planet that is going to sell you off by the pound, a planet that says you're unworthy to love, and the game is you have to find unconditional love for yourself anyways, and that's how you finish the game down here. That's how you do it. There's nobody coming to save us. There's nothing broken on the planet. Okay, the medical system is there for a reason. It's testing you. Okay, the government is there for a reason. These psychos are there for a reason. They don't bother me. They're not leaving. They've always been here. They're not going to leave because guess what? The herd will dictate it, and the herd will never wake up. And I'm not picking on anybody out there, so just know that I'm not doing it. Why do you think I'm on here? Why do you think I come on and stir it up and piss people off? Because I know a few of them are going to wake up, and then they might wake up their families. So whether people like Dr. Wolf or not is none of my business. My business is to mind my business, which is to share unconditional love. Letting yourself off the hook right away. What are you on the hook for, Charles? What are you still guilty for, Charles?
Nothing at this point. I have a job of taking care of myself now.
Okay. Okay. All right. And understand something. You better get that. And you better listen to this. And you better let everybody know in the family. You need to say, I want you to understand, I was sucking off of you. I was sucking off of you so much. Okay. I got myself into this wheelchair. Now I'm going to mind my own business. And I'm going to get out of this wheelchair. Now, if you decide to go have surgery, you can go do that. But the reality is, even if you decide to go do surgery, why don't you go in and kick butt, okay? For like 6 months, go hardcore. I will give you a protocol. You can call me up. We can come back on here, and I won't charge you. We'll come back on here like every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, and then we'll show people that, guess what? God Almighty has given you everything you already need when you have an understanding. And you know what? You're in pain anyways. So I want you to work it. You know what? I'm not talking about pushing through the pain. I'm talking about right now your hip. Try to picture this. When you get hip problems, you got anger problems. There's 2 places in the body that anger goes, liver and hips. Okay? So you say you're not angry anymore. Well, you better not be angry at the doctors. They did what they were trained to do. For God's sakes, Charles, you know that doctors are trained to dispense drugs. So no more bitching about the doctors, okay? They did what they were supposed to do because you went in and you allowed it. Nobody told you had to do it. So no more doctor stories. And it wasn't the drug that put you in the chair. So once you establish that, that's when we go to a higher level. And you didn't go in the chair because you were stupid. Let me tell you something. I don't know why people get the cards they're dealt, but here's the deal. I know people out there that were raised by a family, went to a school or bought into a religion, and they trusted in these beliefs, and the beliefs killed them, or it's still killing them. And they don't even have a logical thought, or they're not able to take a look at the belief logically and go, throw this mother out. I need you to lovingly start observing all your thoughts throughout the day. Charles, you're a gamer. I've talked to you twice. And you play games with yourself, so you play games with me and you play games with everybody else. Watch out for the games.
Powerful words.
Yeah, but guess what? I love you, Charles.
Oh, I know you do.
You're all spirit, dude. You're all heart, and I love you. And I've been where you were. I never went into a wheelchair, but I was in a wheelchair in my mind. Okay? All right? So you need to get that. I'm not bullshitting you here today at all. And you're going to get that. We'll become friends on this, and you'll understand that really, you know, we need you out of that wheelchair, Charles, because I like the way you talk and I like the way you think. And if you get out of that wheelchair, you are actually, listen to me, and everybody can think I'm full of BS, but I'm not. Charles, if he gets out of this wheelchair, and if he can get himself out of this wheelchair and remain healthy, Charles, you are going to complete your mission down here. Everybody has a mission, but most people, Charles, are never going to finish their mission. I'm going to finish mine. I'm doing it right now. My mission is to be here with you right now. Our mission is to find our passion and our purpose, Charles, and then gift every human being that we can touch. And that is the God's truth. I live like that. People don't believe me. They think I'm some kind of full of crap guy. But it doesn't matter, because I don't care what people think, because most people are never going to think, Charles. So please don't go around asking people what they think when you are doing something that the majority would not do. If you're doing something the majority doesn't do, keep your mouth shut, because you're not going to get the support.
You won't.
You won't.
Fact.
Because
fact.
Everybody wants to be comfortable laying in their own feces.
Miserably comfortable.
That's right. So here's the deal. So how long you been in the wheelchair?
Well, I've been since November of 2022.
Okay, so this is too long. We got to get you out. Now here's the deal. What joints won't open up anymore? Hip? What about your knee?
Hip and stiffness in the stroke leg.
And where do you live? Do you have stiffness in the stroke leg, or will the knee not open up? Can you make your leg straight, and can you pull your lower leg in?
I can now.
What? Wait a minute. Just 3 weeks ago you couldn't.
No, I can now.
What did you do? Because I said you better get going. What did you do to make it happen?
What I did was some simple things. I'm drinking half my body weight in good water.
Okay, so you weigh how much?
205.
205. Are you drinking not structured water?
I drink just reverse osmosis water.
Reverse osmosis water, there's no such thing in nature. It's crap. Reverse osmosis water, okay, did you know that it has the worst hydration on the planet next to distilled water? Now, so do you believe that there could be a greater energy in the universe?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that when it rains, and even though there's chemtrails, even though there's acid rain, did you know that it doesn't hurt the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, the microorganisms? Did you know that we can drink rainwater and it'll heal us even if it's got chemical poisoning in it because it was structured by the heavens?
I didn't know that.
Well, guess what? Lori,
Yes.
can you bring me the structure unit, please?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a structure unit. And everybody, just so you know, I'm not doing a pitch on you. I'll give you a 90-day, 100% money-back guarantee that if you're not completely happy with it, you can return it without question, okay? But people aren't going to get this, so most people won't. That's a structure unit. There's no battery. There's no plug-in, okay? All right? It's the way it's constructed on the inside, and it has different types of crystals and gemstones built within it. Now, you can go, well, that's BS. Well, I just gave you a 90-day money-back guarantee, so, go ahead and try it. Now, the reality is, when the water goes through here, it structures it. Do you know what structured water is? Structured water is water that takes no energy to get into the cells. It will actually get into your cells 1,000% better. People will go, well, what about a Kangen unit? Because that's the most sold unit because it's an MLM that's just rock and everything. Kangen water is great. It's got hydrogen in it. I would not say don't do it. It's very overpriced though. But the reality is it still is good. But structured water, I only use this, and I'll travel from city to city, which I'm doing now, or country to country, doing my lecture tour and my training in New World Practitioner, Whole Life Coach, and all these other things. And the reality is I'll put it under any tap. Did you get me? Any tap. So now Dr. Wolf is a whack job. I get it. And understand, once you structure water, you change the frequency. You might still have the chemicals and the heavy metals, but they'll never stay in the body. They don't stay in the body. It's untouchable. So what happens when you drink water, if you knew what a water droplet was, a water droplet is 2,500 layers. Layers. A water droplet's in layers. Isn't that cool? 25 to 3,000 layers. And when you structure it, it brings a frequency into the droplet that when it comes into the body, every cell has what's called an aquaporin channel that takes up the water. And what happens is when the frequency in the droplet from the structured water matches with the aquaporin channel valve, what happens is it goes and it strings out that 2,500 and it makes it into a choo-choo train, goes directly into the cell. 1,000% better hydration. Now, when you drink your reverse osmosis, it sits like a lead cake, right? It sits heavy. Go ahead and do this. A mosquito can't walk on structured water, can't even hold it. If you were to, do you have a pet? Get your reverse osmosis. Put the water in one container, then put structured water in the other. Don't even purify it. The dog will never touch the other water. The dog, the cat, the bird, the animal is instinctive, intuitive. Human beings, okay, are the only species on the planet, okay, that are built like this. The problem is that we can become geniuses, we can become the hero, or we can become a zero if we don't do our own programming. That's the problem. All right, so that's a structure unit. The water goes in this end, comes out this end. If you don't believe me, if you have got some people in your family that drink alcohol and drink a lot of it, play a game with them. You could take 1 ounce of wine out of a bottle, run it through here and put it back into the bottle, give it a little shake, and then they could drink the whole quart. They'll be as drunk as a skunk and no hangover. Anything that gets structured, you get protected by. Okay, so that's what you want to do. You can structure anything that you drink and protect yourself. You can spray your food with it. You can soak your food. It's going to protect you with the foods that you think that might be contaminated. Okay? All right. So anyways, that's water. How much water do you drink? You weigh 100 and what? 200 and what?
About 100 ounces of water now.
Okay. So, but you weigh 200 and what? 205, but guess what? You're stagnant. You're a swamp. You don't get up. You don't move around, so you don't move your lymph. You don't get any exercise, hardly at all. Yes or no?
Just the physical therapy.
I'm going to tell you, well, physical therapy, my butt, will you? You know how old you'd have to be with physical therapy to get there? No, they're not doing anything. They're just slowing down the decline of you. Physical therapy doesn't work. Okay? Physical therapists out there, God love you, but the strategies suck, okay? All right? People don't get well through physical therapy because unless you're going in and you're pulling the scar tissue apart to allow the energy flow, the blood flow to come back into the tissues, and you are putting the calcium back into the bones, then what are you doing, Charles? What are you doing? What are you doing? Nothing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. The water should be structured. You don't have to. It should be in between warm and hot. Okay? Why? Because warm water cleans better than cold water. Okay? Just use your canoodle. Okay? So, and it helps to relax the body. And your bowels will start to move better. Okay? Feeling sorry for himself. I don't think he is. No, he's not. No, he's not. Charles isn't feeling sorry for himself. We've all felt sorry for ourselves, but that is a natural feeling. When I can't find a strategy and I can't find a way out, I'm going to feel sorry for myself. Then I'm going to get depressed. But there is no depression. There's no such thing. We get depressed because we get anxiety. There is no depression. There's no such disease. There's no such symptom. Guess what? When you get too anxious and you get too much anxiety, your brain overheats and it shuts down like any other computer. There's no depression. There's no such thing. Oh, I'm depressed. Why? I don't know. Okay. All right. Stop telling yourself the same BS story that's terrorizing your brain, that's putting it on fire, that's causing it to shut down. That's it. Got it. Okay. So, Charles, tell me what you ate today. What'd you drink today? You're what?
I'm in a fasted state as of now.
Okay, so what time is it there?
Right now it is 10:30.
It's 10:30. So what time did you get up?
I got up 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So you've been up for 2.5 hours. So how much did you drink?
I've drank about 24 ounces of water.
How much?
24 ounces.
Okay, so what you should have drank in the first 2 hours is 2 quarts.
That takes some endurance.
No, it doesn't. Well, what's the endurance part? Getting out of the wheelchair to go to urinate?
No, I'm saying to be able to consume that much water initially. I mean, it's different drinking water when you've been used to drinking, whether it be lemonade, iced tea, and other beverages.
You're talking about you've been used to being drinking addictive things.
Right. Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's the deal. So the reality is this. What you could do, and here's what you can do. I would get yourself some black diamond, and you're just putting in 1/16 of a teaspoon in every quart. That's going to help you out a lot. And then I want you to put in about 2 drops of super cinnamon. And now what that's gonna do is balance your blood sugar levels. It's essential oil. Where it's also going to shut off all your sugar cravings, and it will. And it also disinfects. And then the black diamond will bring in 70, 80 micronutrients, and it'll suck up 600% of its weight in heavy metals, bad bacteria, parasites, okay, and chemicals. And it'll lock it down right away so you don't have any symptoms when it's carrying it on the body. So I would suggest you do that right away with the water. And guess what? The reality is you're going to take and make 2 quarts of water, okay? And I want those 2 quarts of water drank by 11 o'clock. So why do you want to do that? Because, Charles, from 4 o'clock in the morning until noon, okay, is when the body's in its detox elimination phase. So if you could not eat for me from that time, but then just drink what I just said and do what I just said, your bowels are going to move better and you're going to detoxify. If you eat anything and you sit in a bloody wheelchair, okay, and you don't do this, you're not going anywhere. We need to flush out, okay? Also, I would tell you to also purchase the daily cleansing tea. We need to really get those bowels moving. Now, as you can tell, where is the place that you have the most trouble? And I'm telling you, just like everybody else, whether you're in a wheelchair or not, it's your waistline. And because it's a waist dump. And understand, you only have fat, you only have something hanging out the front, and you only have the muffins on the side, okay? Because you have to make the fat cells to store the infection because you're pooping in your pelvis. That's where we get fat, is all around the waistline, because the large intestine is the only place that autoimmune disease occurs. What do you mean? That's not true, Dr. Wolf. Yes, it is. Because leaky gut is only the large intestine. The large intestine, there's no leaky gut. It's leaky large intestine. You're pooping in your pelvis, Charles. And guess what? When you poop in your pelvis, you're going to set your prostate on fire. You'll have bladder infections. You'll always feel full. Okay? Your bladder won't be able to hold urine. Because why? Because you're going to get E. coli in your bladder. And I guarantee you, people in a wheelchair, just test them. E. coli in their bladder. And that's because you're pooping in your pelvis. And then that goes into your bloodstream. And then that goes to your liver. And then your kidneys get it. And that's why you find E. coli in the bladder. And that's why we get bladder infections. Because our bowels aren't working right. And that's you and that's everybody else. And people don't get it. People don't get that a dysfunctional large intestine is responsible for 95 to 90% of all autoimmune, all symptoms, and symptoms are just signals that your body's going, you don't know how to love me. This is a dysfunctional relationship and you're going to lose me eventually. But until you do lose me, I'm going to scream at you. And that's the pain, that's the swelling, that's the stiffness, that's the redness. Okay, so there you go. What do you think, Charles?
It's all accurate. So I'm going to tell you why. I have a friend that's paralyzed. From the chest down, he's always getting bladder infections. Always.
Yeah. But he doesn't have to be, Charles. If he took my black gold and did 2 smoothies with organic berries, black gold, oat milk, and he put in also a scoop of my amino boost, which is totally delicious, chocolate, Dutch chocolate, but it has all your aminos in it. And he did that twice a day with my black gold, a level tablespoon, and he took 6 to 8 ounces of my daily cleansing tea. We just lost you, buddy.
No, I'm here. Internet.
Okay. All right. And then he took about 6 to 8 ounces of my daily cleansing tea twice a day. He would never have that again. You cannot become a swamp without mosquitoes. And those mosquitoes are bad bacteria, worms, viruses, bladder infection, okay? endometriosis, cysts on your ovaries, infertility, candidiasis, vaginitis, dry vagina, okay, a smelly vagina, okay, prostate problems, impotence. How am I doing? Okay. Are you still there?
Straight. Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you going to come back on or no?
Yeah, I will be back on. Just give me a moment.
That's okay, buddy.
I'm here.
I'm not rushing you. Take your time. So understand something, everyone. The world is going to get fatter because the world is pooping into their pelvis, and you need to understand that. And when you poop in your pelvis, you can either get infection and then go to inflammation and mutation and then die, or you can go poop in your pelvis and you can get infection, inflammation, and make fat cells. Which one do you want? So now listen, I want to get you going. I'm going to stir it up. Hey, fatty, guess what? They're telling you that you're big, you're bold, you're beautiful. Guess what? You've got high blood pressure, very stinky bowel movements. You're going to have diabetes. You're going to have heart disease, okay? And you're going to be very uncomfortable in your clothes. But the whole food corporations and the clothing industry are going to tell you that you're big, you're bold, you're beautiful. And they're going to get all kinds of stores just like this. 25 years ago, they went from 10 pounds was obesity to now you're 40 pounds. You're not, until you have 40 pounds, you're not obese. Anything to help diverticulosis? Let me tell you something right now. Diverticulosis is chronic constipation. If you don't know about this, everybody, if you want to learn the best video that you've ever watched, and I mean that, in learning from your mouth to your rectum, the highway of life, it's called the highway of life. That's one video. And the other video is called Holy Crap, the Holy Grail. And it's in my library at docofdetox.com. I want every doctor, every practitioner to go on there and watch it. And then I want you to come and challenge me. Come on, challenge me. Medical doctors, natural health doctors, because it's logical. Everybody needs to become their own practitioner. Everybody needs to become their own lover, okay? And if you'd love yourself, you'd stop hurting your family and everybody else. Okay, and if you loved yourself, you'd protect yourself, you'd respect yourself, you'd honor yourself. Are you still there, Charles?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you busy?
No, I'm right here.
Okay, all right. Are we going to get you back or no?
I'm trying right now.
There you go.
Am I back?
Yeah, Charles is back. He's big, he's bad, and he's beautiful.
Yep.
All right. So, Charles, so you've been in the wheelchair how long?
Since November.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go through your daily routine. We're going to talk about what Charles eats. Okay. We're going to talk about what Charles does for exercise and what Charles takes for nutrition. We'll go through those three things. Okay. And then we'll ask Charles what he does for fun. What about that? So Charles, we know that you drink what? You say you drink a gallon now. When did that start?
That stopped, just a couple months ago.
Oh, a couple months ago. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So, yeah, so now we're just getting started, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So you went from wanting to kill yourself to now wanting to live.
Not actually wanting to kill myself. Let's not get that on the record. I don't have any...
Oh, no. I didn't mean it that way. I exaggerate everything. Did you ever notice something? If you don't exaggerate something, you can't get the subconscious to wake up.
Yeah.
If you don't exaggerate things, you can't get people to wake up.
Well, that's exactly like when Tony Robbins says, I'm not your guru. He tells people to wake them up, shut the F up, to get their attention, to get them out of their own wheelhouse.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
If I can answer a question, everyone, my Perfect Day Consultation guide comes with a consultation. Right now, consultations, they're only $150. Right now, they're on sale because I've been in business 40 years. I've got all my products on the biggest sale I've ever had in my life. I'm celebrating 40 years in business and in the health business. And the consultations were only $150. They're $115. My God, you pay $115 and we give you a strategy from the moment you rise until you close your eyes. and you're allowed to call us for life. Because why? Health is a language. Nobody can learn it in one consult. So we're going to work with you. When you fall backwards, we're going to help support you, because you're not going to change right away, because habits take time. Repetition is the key to set you free. The only reason why Charles is in the wheelchair is because there was enough repetition, okay, that he wasn't going to be able to get or become what he wanted to in his life. And that's it. We give up. We give up because there's no strategy. Now we're going to give Charles strategy, and then if we can teach him to take on the strategy of unconditionally loving and caring for himself, the sky's the limit. No, it isn't. The universe is the limit, actually. Okay, Charles, so let's talk about this. We talked about your water. So what do you eat? Let's go. And Charles, tell me on a bad day, not your best day, because that's what everybody does. They want to tell you on their best day, okay?
Okay, on my worst day, I go to a chain restaurant, let's just say the Olive Garden. I eat their salad.
Okay, 1 second. Olive Garden is totally poison. Everything about their stuff is toxic. Okay, the food's cheap, and they use all chemicals and artificial stuff. Everything. Their bread, okay, Charles, has the same ingredient as a yoga mat. Okay?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So do you feel like doing yoga after you eat their bread?
No. No.
Okay, Charles, because I know you eat their bread.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's probably the worst thing I do is visit.
I know, but Charles, there are places. Where do you live?
Pennsylvania.
There are places that are called like just salads, where you can go and make this huge bowl of salad that you'll pay about the same amount of money, and you can put black beans in or chickpeas and put all the different veggies in. Great tasting salad dressing. You're not allowed to poison yourself anymore.
No. I get it. I do, Dr. Wolf, enjoy fasting. That is something I do enjoy doing.
Well, I know, but you enjoy eating incorrectly too. So you are a very addictive a personality. So why don't you become very addicted at lengthening, strengthening, detoxifying, and toning your body? That's the addiction you need.
Core.
What?
Especially the core.
Well, everybody, you need to get this. You can do all you want, okay? With, I'm going to work on my biceps, okay? I'm going to work on my legs. But your core, and everybody's core is on the floor. Look at everybody. Oh, for God's sakes. Charles, how many of your friends over 40 don't look like they're 3 months to 9 months pregnant?
They do.
Okay, so guess what? Do you know why they look like they're 3 months to 9 months pregnant? Because they've got leaky gut, which is leaky large intestine. They're pooping in their pelvis. The good bacteria has gone bad. The yeast has turned into fungus, and the fungus is drilling holes in their large intestine. And they've got the only virus pandemic that I've seen in the last 25 years, and it's called gas ass. Okay? And the reality is they are a walking, talking manure pile, and the endobacterium are farting, and that's why they're looking like they've eaten a beach ball, or remember, the large intestine is a live muscle. It is a long 30-foot muscle, and now it's a dead snake laying in their pelvis. So now it's a swamp. So understand something, and you need to get this. It's going to help you, Charles. Did you know that your large intestine is 85 to 95% of your immune system? Did you know that you have 50 trillion cells, but you've got 500 trillion bacteria in your large intestine? Did you know the only good bacteria is your mother's good bacteria? And you can bring that all back, okay, by doing daily cleansing tea, black gold, and black diamond. Now, there are other things you need to do, but if you just did those on a regular basis, you're going to see changes. Now, the reality is here, okay, with people, like I said, they're either sticking out, and the people that are sticking out, they're the ones that say they've got heart problems, angina, okay, heart stress. Well, of course, hot air rises and it's pushing up on them, right? So it's not a heart attack, it's a fart attack. And if you don't believe me, over 90% of the people that get rushed to the hospital are only having anxiety, and it's a fart attack, not a heart attack. Just like a hot air balloon will rise right? So the gases rise, and it's putting the pressure on there, okay? Somebody asked, where do you get your products? Go to store.docofdetox.com. And I told you, we have the biggest sale we've ever done, and it's on right now. And understand something, everyone. The only reason why Charles, his hip is really getting bad and it's going to get worse, and why there's more low back surgeries than ever before, is because you're rotting out, okay? Your core's on the floor and you got pelvic rot, all right? What do you think, Charles?
Listen, from the first video that you did, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
As a lifelong trash man, that's what I did for the line of work. Trash trucks need to be cleaned out every day after they do their route. And they need to be power washed regularly. Otherwise, the steel will rot out. It'll rot out because of all the poison it takes every day.
You know what? You want to know something? If your bowel can't get rid of, okay, the waste, then what's it do? It works just like a garbage truck. It's a compactor. Do you know how it compacts it? The more stagnation, the more it sucks the water back into your body, because it needs the water. Because if you gave yourself enough water, your stool, let me tell you, a stool should be about 5 to 7 inches long. And take your second finger and do this, Charles. That's the width of it, right? You see? And then it should be 5 to 7 inches long. And you can believe it or not, I'll do juicing, I'll do my nutraceuticals, I'll do the water, but I basically might have a soup, but then I'll have just one meal a day. That's it. That's it, guys. That's it. And the reality is I always have 2 to 3 really great bowel movements a day. And my bowel movements are like this big, where other people, they'll sink to the bottom, there's no oxygen left, and they're like rocks, okay? Or they're skinny ribbons because you've got inflammation in there, so your bowel's in spasm, okay? And somebody was asking about the diverticulosis. Well, diverticulosis is constipation. You've had the waste sit in there for so long, the waste has created bad bacteria and it ate out the lining. So now it's like, remember when we used to have bicycles when I was younger, and there would actually be a bulge in the tire? Okay, that's what you're having. You're having bulges in your large intestine. You will completely heal, usually with just black gold and daily cleansing tea, and by doing the structured warm to hot water with diverticulosis. And diverticulitis just means you've got diverticuli in your large intestine with inflammation, everyone. Oxy powder, I used to sell it, don't really care for it, okay? Oxy powder will either work or doesn't work, and I think it's more irritating. We use daily cleansing tea. It's 5 different herbs. There's no laxatives, there's no stimulants, and it works on all the detox organs. Oxy powder only works on the large intestine. I'm not into just stimulating the large intestine. I'm not into a laxative, or we don't do that. Daily cleansing tea helps to support the lymph system, the kidneys, the colon, okay, the blood, okay, and the large intestine, okay?
Dr. Wolf, talk about for a moment, do you like psyllium husk, or you think it's bad?
Psyllium husk is like eating a scrub brush, okay? There's no life force in it. And the psyllium husk is very dirty, and it can have bad bacteria on it. It can have parasites on it. Most psyllium husk comes from out of India. I will not do that. That's really old school. Do you think that eating dead things and dead fiber is the way to go?
No, just that with a question.
No, but when I say it that way, then it clicks in, right? Understand something. The most important thing you need is water, and the best hydrating water is structured water, okay? The second thing to that, okay, would be fiber, but whole plant-based fiber, not dead fiber. Okay, you know, and the next thing to that is amino acids. I didn't say animal protein, I said amino acids. So we're going water, fiber, amino acids, and that's the deal. That is the thing we deal with, and I've rocked that world forever. You know, amino acids are important, but it's a type. How many dead animals do you have to eat, Charles, to get enough amino acids? Are you okay? It doesn't work. Okay,
Doesn't.
no. And the reality is most people don't understand that a lot of people are eating animal protein, but if it's not free range and organic, if you eat animal protein every day, whether it's a Greek yogurt, milk, red meat, farm salmon, or any other type of protein like that, if it's not organic, then you do know that 80% of all antibiotics in the United States and Canada go into animal products. So if you eat an animal product every day, you're taking in as much antibiotics as if you did a heavy dose of antibiotics for 7 to 10 days every month. So everybody out there, when I say, do you do antibiotics? They'll say no. But meanwhile, then you say, well, do you eat animal products? Yes. Are they organic? No. Well, guess what? You're doing antibiotics every day and you're undermining your health. End of story. Okay? You got to understand something. The terrorism will never stop. Don't get pissed off about it, because until the majority wake up, this stuff's always going to go down. Okay? And the reality is the majority will never wake up in my lifetime. And if they do, the majority, I will get on here and apologize and just get down on my knees and thank God for that, because my job will be over. Okay? And guess what? I really don't want to have to work this hard. Okay. All right. So the other thing is, somebody said organic is allowed to have certain amount of pesticides. Well, you're not going to get away from everything, guys. But if you do black diamond, black gold, and daily cleansing tea, you're already rocking your world. And I have the best products going. Oxy powder, you can keep it. Okay. Zeolite, you can keep it. Activated charcoal, you can keep it. And if anybody wants to debate me on this, I'll teach you why. Okay. It's not that the products are bad, but I only want the best. I'm not going to carry anything else. I'm not going to carry a cheaper product to make the money. I'm going to carry the best. Forget the rest. That's it. Everybody deserves the best on every level. That's it. Okay? All right. So anyway, so what are you going to have for lunch, my friend?
Well, when I break my fast today, I'll have a healthy fat. I'll have some avocado, a salad, and...
Okay, first of all, one second. First of all, why don't you just do your lunchtime, okay, with the salad. I want you to do the avocado on its own. Charles, we know you overeat. Charles, stop. Just stop it. Charles, okay, here's the deal. Charles?
Yes.
When you eat from now on, you're going to use the fork or the spoon, put it in your mouth, and you're going to drop the fork or spoon on the table. You're then going to chew the food until it's a liquid, and you're not going to swallow it. Now, Charles, you're going to eat 1/3 and you're going to be satisfied. The other 2/3 you're not going to even have to eat. So people are eating 12 times more than they need today. So understand that. The smaller you chew up your food, Charles, the smaller the particle, the more the enzymes are going to wrap around it. And guess what, Charles? You're always hungry because you eat too fast. It goes down in chunks because you're always in a hurry and you're going nowhere because you're in the damn wheelchair, dude. Okay. Now, the reality is, if you were to actually drink your solids and chew your liquids, you wouldn't be in the wheelchair. The reality is you've lived your life in total anxiety because you've never been enough for yourself or anyone else. So that's why you went and spent yourself and you're in the damn wheelchair, because you couldn't do enough because you're worth not much.
Let's just recapture that for a moment. What you're talking about would save a person not only their health, but also with these prices of good food today, the overeating is a very expensive hobby now.
Okay, first of all, there is no overeating. From now on, you're not eating anymore. You're nourishing. You're going to love yourself and you are going to nourish yourself. You're going to love yourself and you're going to nourish yourself. You're not going to go, honey, I'm hungry. Honey, I'm going to nourish. Say that. And your wife is going to say, everybody, come on, let's nourish. Not, hey, let's eat. And she's not ever going to say to Charles again, honey, are you full? You're not a garbage can. We don't need to fill you. We need to turn off the hunger. And we can't turn off your hunger unless we give you high vibrational, light energy packed food, which means you need whole plant-based nutrition. That's it. And you need to walk around with a smile, and you're never going to listen to anybody's grumbling, mumbling, bumbling anymore. And you've got to do this. You've got to turn your life around. Everything has to come into the light. Everything has to be high vibrational. I live like this. Everybody who knows me, nobody comes in with a Trump story, okay, or a vaccine story. Nobody comes in with an end of the world story. Nobody comes in with their complaining. They might say, Daryl, I have this situation going on, and I'll go, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, let's get rid of it. You're not allowed to come in and go, we don't do that here, do we, honey? No, we have fun, we get it done. Everything, no matter what the world is in crisis about, we're going to make it fun. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
And the only protection you need is a smile.
That's it. How are we doing? What time is it, honey?
It's,
Wait, you know where we're going today, Charles?
Where?
11 o'clock.
I'm going to try to do a little piece of the video, but I don't want to get sued. My son, Gerald Wolf, he created a ballet with 101 ballerinas. And he did it at the Toronto Ballet. And there's never been anything done like this. And it's sweeping the world, isn't it, hon?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's sweeping the world.
Absolutely.
The movements he does, and it's called Rise. So we're 14 of us are going to jump into a limo, drive down to Toronto, and we're going to go watch his show, and then we're going to go out to dinner. What time is it, honey?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. I got to rock. But you know what? We can have Charles Part 2.
If the audience wants me back, I'll be back.
Well, let's see. Does anybody want Charles to come back? If I see one person in the next 60 seconds, we'll do it. I don't know, Charles. Your rating doesn't look really great yet. You know what, Charles? I really don't care about them. I care about you. Okay? All right? And I don't care. I do care about them, Charles, because we need to care for each other. But I don't care about them wanting you. I want you. You want you. So what you should have said when I say we got to take a vote here, you know what you should have said? Their vote doesn't count. The only vote that counts is me. Say it.
My vote counts.
You're the only vote that counts. The rest of them don't count. Okay? All right? Okay? Because you know what? You do know there's a lot of jealous people out there, and if they're jealous, they're not going to want you back on, are they? Okay? And just know this, everyone. You can let me know if you don't mind coming on and showing your face and talking like Charles did. Charles, do you know how many people you just helped? Well, I'll tell you right now, we've just reached 40,000 people.
Beautiful.
And guess what? Over the next week, people are going to watch this. Over the next month, they're going to watch this. Okay? And they're going to go, "Oh my God, Charles, you're amazing. I love you." Or they're going to go, "Oh my God, I'm like Charles. Oh my God, I was like Charles. I could become like Charles." And guess what? You're the BraveHeart hero of the day. And you've got my...
I got to remind everybody, the only protection you need is a smile.
That's it. So I'll tell you what, Charles, sometime this week, we'll finish this off. It'll be Charles Part 2. Okay? All right? Okay? So the only real king that should be Charles should be you. Okay? You should be the king of everything. But you're going to have to go in with unconditional love. And the reality is we're going to talk about your exercises. So do you stand up out of that chair at all?
Yes, I do.
How often?
Every hour.
Okay. Every 15 minutes, or you're not getting out. Okay? Every 15 minutes, or you're not getting out. And we're going to... Have you tried to do any pelvic squats yet by holding on to, like, standing up?
Yes, I have.
Well, no. Let me tell you something. I want you to hold the pelvic squats, okay? And try the crab stretch. And I want you to do it 3 times a day. And I don't care how sore and stiff you are the next day. Go have get a really nice warm shower to loosen things up and get right back at it. Okay? All right?
Okay, Dr. Wolf. Well, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want to have a part 2?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then if you want to have a part 2, go have a good poo.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy. Okay, thanks everybody for joining me. And just know this: you can't do today. You can't redo it. So you know what? A slight smile on your face, connect to your lion heart breath. I'm serious. And I want you to leave smiles wherever you go in case I need to find you. Okay? God bless. Have a beautiful day.